I have always relied on clothing to identify individuals due to my inability to recognize faces, yet my husband pays it no heed. Upon hearing that his beloved was in labor, he disregarded my pleas and hastened to the capital. His beloved adores seeing him in black, prompting him to acquire an entirely new ensemble of black attire, while he misplaced the azure garment I had painstakingly sewn for him. A month later, he returned only to find me entwined with another man's arm, basking in affection and sweetness. That man was clad in the very azure garment he had lost. Subsequently, it was said that he frantically searched for evidence, striving to prove that he was indeed my husband, yet no one believed him. 1. My birthday is fast approaching, and Zhou Suhui set off for the market early this morning. My heart brimmed with joy as I sketched the patterns for a new outfit, pondering what kind of gift he might bring me. In the afternoon, Zhou Suhui returned, but as soon as he entered the house, he began to pack his belongings. Where are you going? I suddenly felt a pang of anxiety. Zhou Suhui had once been the commander of the Imperial Guards, and after resigning, he had taken me to live in seclusion in the mountains for 3 years. During these years, he rarely ventured out of the village. The last time he did so was upon hearing of the tragic news of the beloved concubine, Zhou Li, falling from a cliff. Zhou Suhui, originating from humble beginnings, had once been a stable boy for the Zhou family and had shared a deep bond with Zhou Li, which they had vowed to uphold, yet fate had cruelly separated them. I was fully aware of Zhou Li's significant place in his heart. Zhou Suhui remained silent, continuing to arrange his belongings. Tears brimmed in my eyes as I stepped forward, clutching his sleeve. Zhou Suhui, tell me the truth. Are you leaving for Zhou Li again? He inhaled deeply, turning to face me, his eyes flickering with a dark flame. Ishui, you already know about Zhou Li's difficult labor, don't you? My expression froze. Seeing my reaction, Zhou Suhui's understanding was evident. He scoffed, a look of realization crossing his face. I should have known something was amiss when you remained tight-lipped. Perhaps this could have been avoided. When did you become so selfish? You envy Zhou Li, so even knowing she is on the brink of death, you refuse to let me know, fearing I would rush to her aid. Zhou Suhui's accusations were sharp, piercing like needles. I am not selfish. I simply do not possess the selflessness you attribute to me. A single tear slipped down my cheek. Zhou Suhui, let me ask you, were we not wed half a year ago? Am I not your wife? Zhou Suhui pressed his lips together in silence. I answered for him. You have indeed taken on the role of my husband, yet upon hearing of the concubine's fall, you abandoned me to rush to her rescue. You saved the concubine, yet she disregarded you, returning to the palace to regain her former favor, while I sustained severe injuries. And it was I who dragged you back home. By day, I toiled to earn money for fabric, and by night, I brewed medicine and kept vigil for you, spending half a year to restore your health. Do you not recall what you said upon waking? You declared that your life was saved by me and vowed to treat me well henceforth. Seeing my tear-streaked face, Zhou Suhui's resolve finally wavered. Ishui, I am aware of all that you have done for me, but gratitude and love cannot coexist. This is the final time. Zhou Suhui picked up his bag and resolutely stepped over the threshold. I rushed out in a frenzy, and without hesitation, he mounted his horse, tightening the reins. The hoofs thudded against the muddy ground, echoing my frantic heartbeat. I sprinted a few meters after him. If you do not turn back this time, I shall no longer acknowledge you as my husband. I cried out fiercely, yet Zhou Suhui paid me no heed. His figure gradually vanished into the dense fog. 2. I waited in the biting wind for what felt like an eternity, yet there were no signs of Zhou Suhui turning his horse around to return to me. As the last glimmer of hope faded, I crouched down, hugging my knees. It was so cold. Tonight's wind was as frigid as the day I brought Zhou Suhui home. That had been a summer day, and I should not have felt this chill deep in my bones. It was simply because I had discovered that Zhou Suhui harbored a true love within his heart. That person was none other than the esteemed concubine. I was merely a facade, a shield he employed to conceal his affair with her from the emperor, protecting her in the process. Yet, knowing this, I still chose to forgive him. When I inexplicably arrived in this world from the modern age, I encountered bandits the moment I landed. Zhou Suhui, single-handedly, felled the brigands and rescued me from the brink of a cliff, his long hair flowing majestically in the wind as he landed. He spared me from even a drop of bloodshed. Zhou Suhui provided me shelter, the means to survive, and whispered the softest words of love. In my memories, he always bore a steadfast back, shielding me from the tempest, offering me refuge from the storm. But as beautiful as dreams may be, the truth was unbearably cruel to me. At that time, the emperor learned of Zhou Suhui's childhood bond with a concubine. Zhou Suhui was left with no choice but to rescue me first from the bandits. His resignation from office was not merely to defend me from the censure of the ministers, but rather to pave the way for the concubine's ascent. I had always believed that through my efforts and genuine affection, I could gradually improve our lives. Yet regardless of how hard I tried, Zhou Suhui would always heed a single word from the concubine and travel great distances to her side. Zhou Suhui, if you would only once turn back for me, I would forgive you. I would be willing to start anew with you. But how could you be so heartless? I fell ill for 2 days, awakening on the third. As I clutched my garments and stepped outside, I encountered our neighbor, Aunt Wang. "Ishui, where is your husband?" Zhou Suhui would rise before dawn to ascend the mountains. And though he had never met the neighbors, Aunt Wang occasionally caught sight of him training in the early hours. My expression faltered, as I merely replied that he had gone out to meet a friend. After speaking, I hastily departed. Yet, my anxiety was not lost on others. Whispers followed me. Her husband has probably already abandoned her. Indeed, who would favor such a strong-willed woman? While others take 3 days to make a garment, she finishes hers in half a day, stealing everyone else's livelihood. I clenched my fists, my chest swelling with indignation. I had intended to turn back and retaliate with a few words, but I realized I could not recognize anyone's face. My severe prosopagnosia rendered me unable to distinguish features, no matter how long I had interacted with them. In the past, Zhou Suhui would offer me cues, allowing me to navigate social situations with confidence. Now, without him, an overwhelming sense of helplessness and loneliness engulfed me, mingling with the sting of abandonment. Tears flowed silently from my eyes. While washing clothes by the river, I deliberately avoided conversing with anyone, fearing they would uncover my secret and mock me. My facial blindness went unnoticed, yet I heard even more derisive remarks. What is she so proud of? I heard her man has left her. When Aunt Wang asked about him this morning, she was reluctant to admit it. My heart sank deeper, longing to refute their claims. Insisting that Zhou Suhui had not abandoned me, he had merely gone out to meet a friend. But what if he truly never returned? Just then, a few children appeared at the village entrance, bouncing along and dragging a man behind them. "Ishui, your husband has returned." I quickly turned around to see a tall figure standing on the shore. While I could not recognize Zhou Suhui's face, I recognized the garments he wore, the very ones I had painstakingly made for him. I was so overwhelmed with excitement that I overlooked the noble air that surrounded him. I rushed forward, grasping the corner of his sleeve, my eyes glistening with tears as I timidly called out, "Husband." The man stiffened momentarily, but as if recalling something, he responded uncertainly, "3." I brought the elegantly dressed man home, and as he hesitated at the doorway, I turned back to him, thinking that since he had returned, we need not dwell on previous troubles. I stepped forward and pulled him inside. "You must be hungry. Allow me to prepare a meal for you." After saying this, I headed to the kitchen to wash the vegetables, only to turn around and find him picking up an axe to chop firewood. Though Zhou Suhui was a martial artist, he had never helped me with chopping wood before. He would rush up the mountain 3 times a day, each time leaving hastily after a quick meal. When I inquired, he would simply say he was hunting, yet the spoils he brought home were few and far between. As he squatted down to place a bundle of firewood directly into the stove, I was somewhat taken aback. "You really needn't help. I have grown accustomed to cooking alone," I remarked. "Do you have a penchant for spicy food?" He gazed intently at the peppers on my cutting board. Recalling that Zhou Suhui preferred milder flavors, I replied, "I have prepared congee and side dishes specifically for you." Although he turned back to look at me, there lingered an undercurrent of resentment in my heart over his departure. And my tone was not as natural as I wished. Unexpectedly, the man smiled gently at me, his gaze sparkling like the stars. "If you enjoy spicy food, I shall learn to appreciate it as well. There is no need for you to go to such lengths for my sake." In a moment of distraction, the knife slipped, slicing my finger. Blood stained the cutting board and sullied the vegetables, filling me with remorse. "Do not move. Allow me to tend to your wound." "I have some healing powder on hand," he said, producing the powder from his sleeve and carefully applying it to my injury. Once, I had intentionally cut my hand to elicit sympathy from Zhou Suhui, who had frowned and urged me to treat it myself while he busied himself wiping the blood from his prized knife. He seemed unconcerned about my injury, only irritated that my blood had marred his blade. Though unspoken, his expression betrayed everything. Perhaps it was because I had attempted to test Zhou Suhui's feelings through my injury, only to have my scheme seen through and met with disdain. Henceforth, any time I was hurt, a profound sense of shame would swell within me, compelling me to hide away and tend to my wounds in secrecy. As the healing powder touched my cut, I instinctively recoiled my finger. A gentle breath grazed my skin. As he softly blew on the wound, my heart raced wildly. Looking at him, I felt an inexplicable sensation. Zhou Suhui had never been so attentive before. Could this truly be Zhou Suhui? Night soon fell, and after I had prepared the bed for him, I retreated to my own room. Although Zhou Suhui and I shared the title of husband and wife, our relationship remained unconsummated. It was merely a verbal promise that bound us in name. There had been no parental arrangements or formal ceremonies, nor had we ever invited friends and family to celebrate. For 3 years, Zhou Suhui had never touched me even slightly, and we continued to sleep in separate quarters. Remembering the unfinished order due tomorrow, I feared I would have to work late into the night to complete the garments. I tiptoed into the room where Zhou Suhui usually slept. The sewing basket sat by the window, and as I passed the bed, I could not help but glance towards the curtains. Perhaps I lingered too long, for he sensed my presence. In the darkness, he slowly opened his eyes, and we locked gazes for a moment. Then, he shifted slightly to the inner side of the bed, offering me a space beside him. A sudden chill from his movement made my cheeks flush. Yet, upon seeing the roundness of his eyes, I felt a flutter of emotions. I reminisced about a small cat I had cared for in modern times, which often warmed my bed. Whenever I lifted the covers to find its almond-shaped eyes staring back at me, I would pounce on it with delight, as a hungry wolf would upon its prey. I swallowed hard but ultimately smiled and explained, "I will take what I need and leave. If it gets cold at night, do not hesitate to tell me," he replied. "I can hear your voice is hoarse. It seems you are still unwell. Be sure to keep warm." His gaze fell upon the fabric in my basket. After a moment's pause, he rose from the bed and approached me, producing a wooden thimble from his sleeve. "I noticed your finger was quite swollen during the day, and you must often use it for sewing," he said, placing the thimble on my finger. It fit perfectly. He chuckled, genuine surprise twinkling in his eyes. "I crafted this afternoon. Please forgive its crude quality." "Of course, I shall not mind," I replied, feeling a complex swirl of emotions, both bittersweet and poignant. It was only later that I would learn he was not Zhou Suhui at all. His name was Chen Qinian. A month passed in the blink of an eye. The designs I had painstakingly created were flying off the shelves in the city. I received a handsome bonus and decided to treat myself to some of my favorite delicacies from the finest restaurant in town. Just as I reached the village entrance, I encountered Chen Qinian, who was assisting the elderly Mrs. Wu, now in her 80s, with carrying beans. Passers-by praised my husband for his industriousness and kind heart, as he undertook all household chores to allow me to focus on my sewing. He even took on the responsibilities of cooking and laundry, leaving me free from the burdens of daily life. He had transformed entirely compared to how he once was. I quickly handed a sweet pancake to the young boy nearby. "Will this suffice to silence your chatter?" The boy accepted the pancake, his mouth full. "These pancakes from the restaurant are truly exceptional. Thank you, Sister Ishue." Chen Qinian set the basket down securely at Mrs. Wu's doorstep and approached me, nonchalantly brushing a stray lock of hair from my brow. Who could blame my wife, Ishue? She is so talented in embroidery and tailoring. She always creates the most exquisite and novel designs. While I may not be able to assist her in other matters, I can at least help lighten the burden of household chores. I had yet to share the news of my designs receiving acclaim from the elite, yet he was already so proud of me. I could hardly wait to share the delightful news with him. At long last, as the villagers dispersed, Chen Qinian informed me he had to step out for a while but would return by dinner time, bringing a friend to visit. I glanced at the dishes I had packed and thought about preparing a couple more simple dishes to ensure we had enough for our guest. However, upon entering the kitchen and lifting the lid of the pot, I was greeted by the delightful aroma of a simmering pork rib soup. He could not bear to see me exert myself, even going so far as to prepare the meal for our guests in advance. On my way back from the village well, I encountered a man clad in black attire at the fork in the road. The setting sun cast rays that wove together like threads on a spinning wheel, gradually creating a vibrant tapestry in the sky. The glaring light shone in my eyes, obscuring the man's features. He approached and said, "Allow me to carry that for you." Yet, he was clutching a brocade box in his arms and hesitated to take my bucket, searching for a place to set down the precious box. I could have offered to switch with him, but I refrained. "I appreciate your kindness, but I can manage. If you help me with the bucket, you must set down the brocade box. Setting it on the ground would dirty it. I can carry this water bucket myself." I held tightly to the wooden bucket and continued on my way. Just then, a figure dressed in blue dashed out from the intersection. "Ishue, have I not told you? You need only entrust the heavy lifting to me." He snatched the bucket from my hands, and the sudden emptiness caused my fingers to cramp. I winced in pain and dared not move again. Hearing the commotion, Chen Qinian quickly grasped my hand to examine it closely. Meanwhile, the man behind us halted. And the next moment, I found myself exclaiming, "I am fine, my husband." "Cramps are no trivial matter," Chen Qinian said, placing my hand in his palm while using his other hand to massage it gently. The scene, observed by a certain individual, was akin to a spark igniting in a cauldron of oil. Zhou Suhui, clad in black, strode forward and seized my wrist, pulling me forcefully from Chen Qinian's side. "Have you found a new husband in my absence of just a month?" Zhou Suhui had likely underestimated my face blindness. His anger was palpable, with veins throbbing at his temples. I gazed at his face, confusion clouding my eyes. "You claim to be my husband. Does that make it so?" I struggled against Zhou Suhui's grip, but his hold only tightened, exuding an unwavering dominance. I could clearly sense my aversion towards the man in black. Chen Qinian intervened, pushing Zhou Suhui away, thereby rescuing me from his grasp, positioning himself protectively in front of me. "Ishue has stated that she does not know you. She has but one husband, and my wife can only be her." Chen Qinian's declaration of ownership was so unabashed that it provoked Zhou Suhui into an enraged, mocking laughter. "You dare to covet another man's wife? Are you not afraid I will bring you before the authorities?" Chen Qinian tightened his grip around my hand. "Feel free to report me, but you shall not take Ishue from my side." Chen Qinian had always been humble and good-natured, yet in his defense of me, he exhibited an unexpected tenacity. It was as if I had become the principle he would not yield on. However, Zhou Suhui was a man whose strength only intensified when confronted with resolve. "You shameless scoundrel! It is you who seeks to take her from me." Drawing his sword, he prepared to engage Chen Qinian in combat. Lacking a weapon, Chen Qinian seized a bamboo stick to counter his attack. Both were skilled fighters. Having tasted blood on the battlefield, neither was merely posturing with empty threats. Yet, the stick was no match for Zhou Suhui's blade. As the edge of the sword sliced through Chen Qinian's arm, blood splattered across my face. Upon seeing the blood on my countenance, Chen Qinian faltered in alarm. The blade was mere inches from his face. In a moment of desperation, I lunged forward and pushed Zhou Suhui, inadvertently striking the wound on his shoulder. He staggered back, clutching his shoulder, half kneeling on the ground, his face contorted in pain. He lifted his gaze to me, his eyes wide with disbelief. Yet, I remained oblivious, my focus solely on assessing the injury on Chen Qinian's arm. "You are clearly skilled, yet you feign injury to garner Ishue's sympathy. This man is cunning and duplicitous. His intentions in approaching you are suspect. Ishue, do not trust him." In my agitation, I retorted, "If I do not trust him, should I place my faith in you? A complete stranger? You claim to be my husband, then prove it." Chen Qinian, struggling to rise from the ground, bloodied yet resolute, persistently shielded me. Even in injury, he stood tall, his posture exuding an indomitable spirit. "Since you assert that you are Ishue's husband, I shall pose 3 questions to you." Zhou Suhui cradled his sword, raising his chin with an air of confidence. 3 questions? I could answer 10, or 100. "Very well then, I ask you, what is Ishue's favorite snack?" That would naturally be lotus flower pastry. Ishue's palate cannot tolerate sweet foods. Her true favorite is the spice salt pastry. With just 1 question, Chun Chinian had stripped Zhou Suhui of his earlier bravado. Zhou Suhui's gaze shifted to me, seemingly seeking confirmation of his assertion. I merely stared vacantly at the ground. Chun Chinian pressed on. What is Yishui's most beloved dish? The 8-treasure duck from Zue Xianglu. Once again, you are mistaken. Yishui can hardly tolerate spice and adores the stir-fried bullfrog legs from the restaurant across the street. Zhou Suhui relaxed his grip on the sword, his eyes flickering with unease. He glanced at me repeatedly, noting my silence. I shall ask you again. What is Yishui's greatest dream? Unlike the earlier questions, this one dwelled in the realm of intimate knowledge. Zhou Suhui struggled to fabricate an answer, remaining silent for an extended time. Chun Chinian, with a flourish, took my hand and declared the answer, to open her own tailor shop in the capital, where her designs would captivate the hearts of many across the land. Now I have triumphed 3 times. Surely, you have no retort. Chun Chinian led me into the house. The fragrant aroma of freshly stewed radish and pork rib soup wafted around me, tantalizing my senses. Zhou Suhui rushed a few steps closer, but did not dare to enter. He called out to me from outside, Yishui, you may not recognize me, but the neighbors certainly do. Wait for me. I shall fetch them to expose this man's true nature. However, Chun Chinian did not even glance back. He merely smiled gently at me. Yishui, did you not say you had good news to share with me today? I rose onto my toes and whispered to him about the considerable profits I had garnered. Upon uttering those words, my spirits soared. Really? I knew it. My Yishui is truly a genius. We exchanged a few hushed words in the courtyard, and as we spoke, Chun Chinian's face lit up with delight. He seemed even more exhilarated than I, nearly sweeping me into a joyful twirl. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed as Zhou Suhui's fist struck the door. That night, the villagers did not manage to sleep soundly. Zhou Suhui first knocked on the village chief's door, who, rubbing his eyes, grumbled about not buying wine and instructed him to seek his deceptions elsewhere. Next, Zhou Suhui approached Granny Wu. The tall, dark figure standing in the night, with a stern expression, was indeed intimidating. Granny Wu tossed a handful of glutinous rice at him, commanding, "Begone." Zhou Suhui then sought out Uncle Wang, who was perceptive and astute. Uncle Wang and Aunt Wang regarded him for a long moment before bursting into laughter. It's no wonder Yishui possesses such a remarkable skill for making money. Now there's a man trying to take advantage. But you might as well forget it. Yishui's husband is a man who knows how to cherish her. In order for Yishui to focus on her business, her husband takes care of all the household chores. From washing clothes to cooking, chopping wood, farming, and planting rice. As Chen's wife passed by, she remarked, ever since he returned from a banquet out of town, he has undergone a complete transformation. Previously, he paid no heed to Yishui, living like a ghost in her presence. In the depths of winter, while Yishui was washing clothes in cold water, her hands turned purple from the chill. He saw this and did nothing to assist, mocking her instead, saying that if it was cold, she should not wash at all. Who wouldn't want to warm themselves by the fire? No one is foolish enough to endure such hardship. After all, the laundry must be dried and delivered to the shopkeeper to earn money. Otherwise, how can one survive the winter? Then, someone playfully patted Zhou Suhui on the shoulder, teasing him, "My good man, I see you are quite handsome." Had it been the cold-hearted demeanor of Yishui's husband from before, she might have run off with you. Alas, your timing is unfortunate. Now the couple is deeply in love. The villagers laughed heartily as they conversed. Zhou Suhui, eager to prove himself, found no one willing to believe him. After all, since his arrival in the village, he had never interacted with the locals. It was as if he were a transient, with no intention of settling down here, thus neglecting to foster any neighborly relations. Zhou Suhui rose before dawn to practice martial arts and descended only after dark. Occasionally, he would hunt for game and send me to the city to exchange it for money. The villagers had never encountered him. A small boy, no more than 6 or 7, had overheard something and rushed to inform me. He vividly recounted Zhou Suhui's disruptive antics. "Yishui, if it becomes too dire, you must flee. He is after you. Though I do not know his intentions, he insists on proving he is your husband." As I was contemplating, Zhou Suhui approached, dragging a dog leg behind him. It was Tong Qian, the idle village dog who roamed around. Clearly reluctant, Tongqian's paws scraped against the ground, creating sparks as Zhou Suhui forced it to my doorstep. Zhou Suhui insisted on demonstrating that Tongqian recognized him. Copper coin, unable to endure any longer, sank its teeth into Zhou Suahui's arm. Satisfied, Zhou Suahui remarked, "You see? Copper coin only bites me." Copper coin bared its teeth at Zhou Suahui, let out a few playful sounds, and then darted over to Qin Qinyan's side. Its front paws clawed at the air incessantly, rubbing against the palm of Qin Qinyan's hand. I sighed, saying, "Indeed, copper coin only bites one person. It has been mistreated in the past, and harbors a deep mistrust of humans. Only recently, during a difficult birthing, he assisted Copper Coin, and now it recognizes only him." I instructed Qin Qinyan to go inside and prepare food for Copper Coin, allowing it to carry it to its young. After he left, I closed the door and walked towards the silent woods behind. The man behind me did not follow. I turned to look at him for a moment and said, "Let's have a conversation, Zhou Suahui." The villagers, who had been harassed by Zhou Suahui all night, were still lost in dreams. A pale light began to appear on the horizon, and the crisp air carried a chill that invaded my nostrils and seeped into my heart. The cold was numbing, yet I could not ignore the dull ache deep within my body. "Ishui, you clearly recognized me long ago," Zhou Suahui stated as his black boots stepped into the grass. His words were declarative, suggesting he was quite certain. I had no reason to conceal the truth. Of course. While I may be face-blind, my mind is perfectly functional. I can recognize your voice and am familiar with your swordsmanship. My calm response bewildered Zhou Suahui. "Then you already know he is the deceiver. Why do you still turn your elbow outward?" Upon hearing the latter part of his statement, a sharp glint flashed in my eyes. "You even know the phrase turning your elbow outward?" Zhou Suahui's body trembled. He clearly understood I was hinting at him. In truth, he had assisted Zhou Li, this outsider, countless times. Zhou Suahui, feeling somewhat guilty, softened his tone. "But you cannot disregard your own safety simply to spite me." A profound sorrow surged within my nostrils, and my smile turned cold and self-deprecating. "Zhou Suahui, for an entire month, I have lived under the same roof as him. Do you think I am unaware that he is not you?" At the market, when he noticed me lingering at the pastry stall, he knew I favored the pepper salt flavor. Upon realizing my penchant for spice, he began to eat spicy food as well. I had never tried stir-fried bullfrog before. He introduced it to me. He also told me that in the future, I should simply order what I enjoy, as my preferences would be his. When he saw my finger swollen, he made a thimble for me that very night. I casually mentioned, while intoxicated, my desire to open a ready-made clothing shop, and he took it to heart, frequently analyzing how I could achieve that goal. Such kindness, Zhou Suahui, is beyond your capacity. The lotus pastry is not something I love. It is Zhou Li's favorite. Zhou Suahui, I can certainly buy a thimble, yet I mentioned it thrice in your presence, and you never remembered. Even when you went to the market and bought a box of rouge for Zhou Li, you never brought me back a single thimble. Had I known you had feelings for Zhou Li, I would never have lingered by your side. But how can you use me as a shield for your affection towards her? Is her happiness more important than mine? I have always told you I wanted to have my own clothing shop. Such a venture can only prosper in the capital, yet to avoid suspicion with Zhou Li, you insisted on taking me away from the city to this impoverished countryside. Such misdeeds are uniquely yours, Zhou Suahui. I may not recognize faces, but can I not discern who treats me well and who does not? Zhou Suahui's grip on the hilt of his sword tightened. I could see the struggle on his face, yet he ultimately only uttered one sentence. "Ishui, I have indeed wronged you in the past. I just asked the villagers, and they do not believe I am your husband. How could a stranger occupy my place for an entire month without anyone noticing? I also learned from them about the hardships you endured alongside me this past year. As a husband, I have been utterly incompetent. Ishui, let us turn the page on the past. I will not leave you again, nor will I inquire about what you have experienced with this man over the past month. As long as you send him away, I will let bygones be bygones, and we can return to how we were before, shall we?" A rare expression of sincerity appeared on Zhou Suahui's typically cold face. I knew he was earnest, but how much remorse did he truly feel? In the past, I always endeavored to gaze into his eyes, trying to discern how much of my reflection lay within those silent, dark depths. Yet now I had no desire to look, for such scrutiny would only exhaust me. My voice was weary as I echoed his words, let bygones be bygones. But what can be done? Zhou Suahui. I do not wish to let you off the hook. You have not merely betrayed me. You owe me. Your heart has always been preoccupied with another. Yet you promised me a lifetime. When I first saw you single-handedly exterminating bandits, bloodied yet unflinching, wielding a single sword to help me break through the encirclement, I assumed you possessed unwavering resolve. Yet in matters of the heart, you are so indecisive. But I still came here with you. What choice did I have? At that time, my heart no longer belonged to me. The time you rushed to save Jolie, I could no longer remain oblivious to your relationship with her. I forgave you then, for what choice did I have? I had already come this far with you. Zhou Suahue stepped closer, reaching to take my hand. Then let us continue forward together. I forcefully shook him off, this time without hesitation. Zhou Suahue, I do not wish to continue. Let us sever ties here. My resolve exceeded Zhou Suahue's expectations. In his eyes, he had merely been away for a month, and upon his return, everything had changed. The me who once could not bear to be apart from Zhou Suahue, who had pleaded desperately before his departure, had now released his hand. Realizing this, Zhou Suahue hastened to block my path. Ishue, do not leave. I admit my mistakes. But I kept my head down, circumventing him. He persisted, explaining in my ear. I halted, lifted my gaze to meet his, and perhaps he had never seen such a cold, resolute expression on me before, for Zhou Suahue stood frozen. I heard myself say, Zhou Suahue, you cannot expect everyone to be as devoted to you as you are to Jolie. I no longer have feelings for you. The words were indeed sharp and hurtful, yet this double-edged sword pierced not only him but also me, cutting through the stubbornness of my past love for someone. Zhou Suahue did not pursue me. The sky had brightened, and the rosy glow illuminated my face. I raised my hand to wipe away my tears, yet they seemed endless. In my blurred vision stood a figure of striking clarity, and I ran to embrace him. Chun Chinian held me in his arms, his warm, dry palm caressing my hair. There, do not be sad, do not be sad. I thought it was time to come clean with Chun Chinian as well. To my surprise, he lost his composure before I could. In the dim light of evening, a small lamp flickered by the window, outlining his distinct features. His face was filled with remorse. Ishue, I did not know you were face-blind and recognized people solely by their attire. I came to Jiangnan this time to investigate leads on my childhood fiancé. My fiancée is the eldest daughter of the Pingyang Marquis, Li Wenyo. I knew you were her the moment I first laid eyes on you. You and the Marquis are practically cut from the same cloth. Thus, when you addressed me as my lord, I assumed you had recognized me as well, and in a moment of impulsive fervor, I boldly responded. I thought it was merely the open-minded customs of Qingzhou, where women are unbound by etiquette. Little did I expect you to mistake me for him. Over the course of this month, I have contemplated countless reasons why Qin Chinian would willingly choose to stay by my side. Some were favorable, some less so. Yet I never anticipated that he, too, was unaware of the truth. Before the disclosure, I had mentally prepared myself, even considering the worst possible outcome. However, at this moment, an even graver premonition began to loom over me. Qin Chinian, aside from her appearance and whereabouts, does Li Wenyo possess any other distinguishing features for identification? Chun Chinian, ever composed, must have had ample justification for recognizing me as Li Wenyo. Such a conclusion could not have been drawn lightly. You need not worry, Ishue. I have received reliable intelligence confirming that Li Wenyo is indeed in Dashi village, Qingzhou, and the only person who bears such a striking resemblance to Madame Ho in Dashi village is you. However, there is indeed one more characteristic of Li Wenyo. She has a birthmark on her lower back resembling a bat. After stating this, Chen Chinian, fearing I might misunderstand, quickly added, there is no need to verify this. Of course. My heart sank deeply. Indeed, there is no need to confirm, for I possess no such birthmark. I dared not glance at Chen Chinian's expression. Gripping my own hand tightly, I am in my own body. How could I be unaware? The bathroom has a large mirror, and every day during my showers, I see my own back. Ishue, would you not like to check once more? I rose, nearly toppling the stool. No need. Master Chen. It is far more important to search for Li Wenyo. You should depart at once. I locked myself in my room, refusing to eat or drink. After sitting in silence for an entire evening, I felt a feverish heat on my forehead. Curled up in the cold, iron-like quilt, I felt both chilled and pained, as if I were on the brink of death. Perhaps on the third morning, I summoned my courage to open the door. The courtyard was devoid of Qin Qinian's presence. I knew he had already left. Sui Shui, do you not recall the silent vow you made when Zhou Shuhui abandoned you a month ago? You promised you would live well, regardless of whether anyone wanted you. You resolved to nurture yourself, to cultivate a healthy and vibrant body to pursue your dreams. At long last, I rallied myself, boiling kettle after kettle of hot water in the courtyard, intending to take a warm bath to ease my body. The moment I unfastened my clothing, a strange sensation tingled in my heart, compelling me to fetch a copper mirror from the room. I exposed my back to the mirror, inspecting it closely, but only finding a few dark moles. Indeed, there was no bat-like birthmark. Perhaps I could still claim an identity here as a transmigrator. Being a transmigrator would make me a true outsider in this world. Suddenly, the small wooden box behind the mirror shifted, causing the copper mirror to topple. In that instant, I caught a fleeting glimpse of a dark birthmark on my lower back. Hastily, I donned my clothes and rushed toward the town. I believed that at this moment, Qin Qinian had not yet left Qingzhou. I urged the donkey cart to move faster. Perhaps I could still see him. The road to the town was steep and narrow, rumored to harbor wild bears. I pressed on, my heart racing, despite my fear of the dark, as branches swayed and beasts howled nearby, causing my donkey to bray in fright. I was nearly on the verge of tears. The weather was fine today, and sunlight quickly ascended from a high mountain to the east. As the light illuminated the thick fog, I spotted a figure in azure swiftly approaching me. Qin Qinian, is that you? I called out uncertainly, unable to recognize his face. Qin Qinian said nothing, rushing over to envelop me in a tight embrace. Ishui, I have sent the annulment letter. Even if you are not Li Wenyo, I will still marry you. Recognizing Qin Qinian's voice and hearing his declaration, I was nearly overcome with emotion. He spun me around in his arms, and halfway through, I suddenly remembered my purpose for seeking him. Put me down at once. What is it? I grasped his sleeve tightly. You truly sent the letter of annulment? Of course, if I did not take this step to demonstrate my resolve, how could I face you? I was taken aback. No, stop that letter. It must not reach the capital. I never imagined that as a transmigrator, I would possess my own identity here. Upon returning to the Pingyang Duke's residence in the capital, the Duchess wept upon seeing the birthmark on my lower back. She handed me a handkerchief embroidered with a pattern of 5 bats, identical to the birthmark on my lower back. I am indeed Li Wenyo. There can be no doubt. The Pingyang Duke's residence showered me with affection as the long-lost eldest daughter. Everyone in the household treated me with kindness and warmth, and my numerous siblings insisted on including me wherever they went. It was a remarkably close-knit and loving family. Over the past 6 months, we, along with our various relatives, concubines, and half-siblings, coexisted harmoniously, adhering to decorum and civility, devoid of any of the sordid conflicts often depicted in domestic dramas. Though the merchant class is viewed as the lowest tier in society, when I expressed my desire to open a ready-to-wear shop, the entire Duke's residence rallied in support, eagerly contributing their funds. The garments I created frequently received praise from my sisters and parents. Before long, my ready-to-wear shop gained renown in the capital. My marriage to Qin Qinian also moved forward on the agenda. I was spared the burden of handling the dowry and betrothal gifts, as the most cherished daughter at home. My dowry was plentiful, with each household contributing gifts for me. The Qin family, in recognition of my worth, bestowed betrothal gifts that left the entire capital in astonishment. When I donned my wedding gown, covered by a red veil, and was led to the bridal sedan chair, I still felt as though I were in a dream. While others traversed through time for court intrigues or domestic feuds, what sort of story am I now a part of? What role do I play? As the bridal sedan swayed, I caught a scent and soon felt my eyelids growing heavy. I cannot sleep. I must attend the ceremony shortly. Yet no matter how hard I tried, I could not stay awake and soon drifted into a deep slumber. Eventually, I was awakened by the cold, struggling to rouse myself. But my body felt as heavy as if weighed down by a stone, and I could not open my eyes. At that moment, I felt warm hands enveloping me. My hands quickly warmed up. Qin Qinian, is that you? I finally managed to open one eye, only to find myself in an unfamiliar room. The space was adorned with red silk, resembling a bridal chamber, yet an inexplicable chill permeated the air. Ishue, you have mistaken me for someone else. My gaze slowly moved to the face before me, and I furrowed my brow. Zhou Shui raised an eyebrow, a smile playing on his lips. What is this? Ishue, have you forgotten me so soon? I had been drugged. My body felt as though it were filled with lead. When I attempted to rise, Zhou Shui urged me to lie down and not exert myself, yet his hands were unrelenting as he propped me up with pillows. As he leaned closer, I pushed him away with all my might. However, I overestimated my strength, and the motion nearly toppled me off the bed. Zhou Shui reached out to catch me. Ishue, do not be willful. Please listen to me. My eyes began to redden, my heart overwhelmed with a mix of disbelief and fury. Zhou Shui, today is my wedding day with Qinian. You must take me back. Zhou Shuhui's previously gentle demeanor faltered, his expression darkening as he bent down to adjust my skirt. I staggered to my feet, grasping the nearby coat rack for support as I took a step forward. Zhou Shuhui attempted to intervene several times, but I pushed him aside. If you won't take me back, I'll return on my own. Ishue, Ishue, Zhou Shuhui called my name from behind, his voice laden with emotion and sorrow, even tinged with a hint of pleading as he implored, please don't marry him. I cannot live without you. Zhou Shuhui boldly stepped forward, grasping my shoulders and forcing me to meet his gaze. His voice sounded anxious and earnest, desperately trying to convey his feelings, striving to persuade me to believe him. His eyes seemed on the verge of shedding tears. Ishue, listen to me, please. I've tried to let go, but I truly cannot control myself. I am nearly driven mad by thoughts of you. Over the past year, you have saved me, healed my wounds, brewed medicine for me, and smiled at me so radiantly. How could one possibly fall for another in just a month? I refuse to believe you have no feelings for me. I love you, truly I do. My feelings for Zhou Li stem only from past affection. The woman I have always envisioned as my wife is you, Su Ishue. In the past, I was not a worthy husband. I did not know how to care for you, but I will learn diligently from now on. Please teach me. He released my shoulders, but then attempted to embrace me. Zhou Shuhui, a martial artist, had a chest as hard as iron, and I could not push him away. I bit down on his shoulder and clawed at his arm, but he merely furrowed his brow, enduring my resistance without releasing me. Eventually, I grew weak, and Zhou Shuhui fully enveloped me in his arms, burying his face in my hair, resting his nose against my neck. This position was filled with his yearning and desperation for affection. He murmured, I regret it so much. If you refuse to recognize me, it is my own fault. But I cannot let you go. I want to tell you that was truly the last time. I have withdrawn all my spies from the palace. Her fate is no longer my concern. I wish to prove myself to you, to let you know, but you are no longer here. Ishue, do not marry him. I will arrange a wedding far grander than this one for you. If you desire me to stand in a higher position, I can fulfill that wish. Just tell me if you seek glory and wealth or power and status. For the rest of my life, I shall face any peril for you. The effects of the drug were too potent, and I found myself struggling to stand upright, my knees trembling. My voice grew weaker, yet I continued to turn my head away, attempting to maintain distance. Zhou Shuhui, just because Zhou Li enjoys seeing you in black. You lost the garment I painstakingly made, and did not even seek it. I told you I am face-blind. Thus, I recognize people by their clothing. Who was it that pushed me towards Qinian? Was it not you? I could clearly sense Zhou Shuhui's body stiffen. However, I had not yet finished speaking. Qinian is a good person. He has not harmed me. What if a villain found that garment? By the time I realize, it will be too late. Since Zhou Shuhui fled in disarray that day, he had not visited my chambers for 2 days. On this fine day, he knocked on my door. Zhou Shuhui stood outside in a green robe, his previously sullen brows now softened by the touch of color. He smiled at me in the sunlight, mimicking Qinian, his smile radiating warmth and affection, like spring breezes brushing against pear blossoms. He added, Ishue, I brought you your favorite stir-fried vermicelli and pepper salt pastries. I stared into Zhou Shuhui's eyes and coldly remarked, your smile is insincere. Stop imitating him. Zhou Suhui's lips fell into a lonely frown as he continued to introduce the food he had brought. I'm not hungry, you may leave. Just before I could close the door, Zhou Suhui squeezed his way inside. He rarely displayed such audacity, always the type to leave without looking back when dismissed. This self-important Zhou Suhui, today, I could not push away. Ishui, I brought you the rouge you adore. He surely does not know your preference. Over the past 2 days, Zhou Suhui had rummaged through our shared memories, seemingly having finally found a box of rouge. Before departing, he had bought 2 boxes at the market, leaving the most expensive for Zhou Li as a gift while giving me the ordinary one, which I had declined. Why would he give me something Zhou Li did not want? Zhou Suhui assumed I genuinely disliked the rouge and took that box back. In truth, I had merely desired a thimble. Now, Zhou Suhui had repurchased the precious rouge and placed it before me. You claimed you did not like it. You must have been lying then. Seeing me remain unmoved, Zhou Suhui appeared somewhat flustered. I have one more thing for you. Inside an exquisite sandalwood box lay a butterfly hairpin. I recalled that after Zhou Suhui left, someone had delivered such a jewelry box. With eager anticipation, I opened it, only to find a butterfly design. I remembered that when I first met Zhou Li, she wore a similar butterfly adornment. I told him it was a mistake and returned it. Zhou Suhui took out the hairpin and approached from behind, attempting to pin it in my hair. Just as I was about to refuse, he said, "Why did you tell the shopkeeper it was a mistake? This hairpin was originally made for you." When the shopkeeper asked me what design I wanted, I recalled glimpsing a butterfly birthmark on your waist. I sighed and told him the truth. You are mistaken. It is a bat. Zhou Suhui paused, slightly embarrassed, and said, Then I will change it to a bat design. No need, Zhou Suhui. I do not like anything you give me. Zhou Suhui was unwilling to relent, his attitude now quite obstinate. That cannot be. I will surely satisfy you, Shui. You will come around. But he would not live to see that day. That evening, a group of swordsmen charged into the courtyard. At the moment the door shattered open, I saw a figure in green atop a tall horse. Typically, one would don black for covert nighttime activities, but Chun Chinian, fearing I would not recognize him, wore a green robe. Even with his face covered, I knew he was my husband. Without hesitation, I rushed towards him. From behind, I heard the sound of a bowstring being drawn taut, with Zhou Suhui's arrow aimed directly at us, specifically, at Chun Chinian's brow. Chun Chinian, your entire family has been imprisoned for crimes, and your escape makes you a wanted fugitive. Are you dragging Ishui into your plight? Ishui, come back. He is now a fallen man. Do not believe him. I disregarded Zhou Suhui's words and grasped Chun Chinian's outstretched hand. I felt my body lighten as he lifted me onto the horse. The rhythmic sound of hooves struck the ground, and Chun Chinian's voice, slightly breathless, reached my ears. Ishui, even if I meet my end in utter despair, I will do everything in my power to protect you, never allowing you to fall into the hands of that rogue. Chun Chinian had initially intended to hide me in a secluded cottage, but I insisted on sharing his hardships. A torrential rain had breached the dam, leaving the land flooded with displaced citizens. The court discovered that the incident stemmed from official corruption involving shoddy construction, akin to a flimsy project in modern times. All fingers pointed to the Empress's maternal family. The case was extensive, and now Chun Chinian's entire family was imprisoned, dragging the Empress into soft confinement in Koan Ning Palace. Awaiting her fate, currently, the one governing the 6 palaces was the noble consort Zhou Li. The authorship of this matter is glaringly evident. Chun Chinian has narrowly escaped a calamity. He must find evidence to exonerate himself before his family is unjustly convicted. Once again, during the rainy season, I traversed thousands of miles alongside Zhang Chinian, scouring much of Jiangnan, contacting former associates, and gathering evidence. At long last, I located the former county magistrate who was privy to the intricacies of this affair. Magistrate Liu had previously submitted a memorial, asserting that the embankment project was fraught with deception. However, he inadvertently alarmed the snake in the grass, incurring the wrath of the noble consort Zhou Li's family, who exacted a brutal vengeance, silencing his entire household, with Liu being the sole survivor. Armed with the evidence Magistrate Liu entrusted to us, Chun Chinian and I hastened to the capital under the cover of night. The following day, Chun Chinian's family was to face execution. The urgency of the situation was paramount. Yet, Amidst the vast bamboo groves, mere miles from the city, we encountered an ambush orchestrated by the Zhou family. Their assault was ferocious. A band of ruthless assassins, each a master of martial arts, descended upon us with deadly intent. The Zhou family had deployed their full might to thwart our progress before noon, when we aimed to rescue the condemned. Rain poured relentlessly, droplets striking the tiles above, creating a cacophony of sound. Chen Qinian and I found ourselves cornered, and I witnessed him stepping protectively in front of me. The glint of a long sword raised by a black-clad assailant momentarily blinded me. A splash of warm blood struck my cheek. In a panic, I looked forward only to find that the injured was not Chen Qinian, but the cloaked figure himself. An arrow had pierced his throat with unerring precision, and he fell, gasping in agony, revealing a man behind him, wielding a blade. Leading a cadre of hooded assassins, he moved with an ethereal grace, swift as the wind. Each swing of his massive blade was powerful, each strike lethal. He had lowered the tip of his weapon, lifting his hat just enough to unveil a pair of obsidian eyes, reminiscent of the pitch-black night, occasionally illuminated by flashes of lightning. Thick, viscous blood dripped down incessantly. In the stormy night, amidst the assassins, trembling bamboo leaves, and the frantic beating of my heart, he used his thumb to wipe the blood from my face. Whispering in my ear, "I apologize for splattering your face with blood once more." Unintentionally, I caught sight of a blue trim beneath his black attire. I averted my gaze. "You need not remind me. I recognized your swordsmanship, Zhou Suhui." Zhou Suhui replied, "Then, thank you for recognizing me." The national elder Chen family's grievances were finally rectified, while the Zhou family, the true culprits, faced retribution. Zhou Suhui had long served Zhou Li, nurturing private soldiers in the mountains of Dashi village, his treasonous intentions laid bare. Although he reigned in his ambitions and promptly turned from darkness to light, escorting witnesses back to the capital, his transgressions outweighed his merits, resulting in his exile to a desolate land, with immediate departure. In the sweltering summer, Chen Qinian and I rode together in a carriage to seek solace in the countryside. Upon passing a tea pavilion for a brief respite, I caught sight of the officials escorting the exiles. Instantly, I averted my gaze, focusing intently on the teacup before me. In truth, I harbored no fear of encountering Zhou Suhui, for even if we crossed paths, I would fail to recognize him. My fingers clenched tightly as I thought how I loathed him. I would often question why he ascended the mountains daily, only to discover he was laboring for Zhou Li. Thus, what he had professed about regret and turning over a new leaf would merely be hollow lies. "Sister, sister." A young child approached, outstretching their palm, revealing a love knot, adorned with a small golden bat at its end. "A brother over there asked me to pass this to you. He wished you both eternal unity." Chen Qinian grasped my hand, smiling gently at me. "You may bid him farewell. You know I am not a petty person." I shook my head, dismissing the notion. The love knot in my hand felt scorching. Ultimately, I turned my gaze toward the procession of exiles. I scanned the faces, attempting to find a familiar countenance. At last, I spotted a somewhat familiar face, my eyes welling with emotion. The third-to-last Zhou Suhui misidentified me, his gaze misty with tears as he looked upon a stranger, bewildered. Ultimately, he smiled resignedly. Chen Qinian intended to caution me, but Zhou Suhui shook his head, indicating that it was best to let it go. Our fates had reached their conclusion. A resolution was due. The wedding of Chen Qinian and me was officially held in the coolness of early autumn. The officiating minister recited auspicious verses, and a mechanical voice resonated in my ear. "Greetings, host. I am your system. In this era, your identity is that of the missing daughter of the Li family. Your task is to prevent the male lead, Chen Qinian, from succumbing to darkness." After being falsely accused, the Chen family was slaughtered, leading the male lead to darken in resolve for vengeance, while the antagonist and the wicked female counterpart conspired together to force the male lead. Wait a moment. The antagonist is exiled, the wicked female counterpart poisoned, and the male lead's family vindicated. I merely stepped away for a moment to recharge, and you've already completed your task. You taskers are becoming increasingly efficient, outpacing the system's predictions. Meanwhile, the officiating minister continued to sing auspicious words, declaring, "A match made in heaven. The system, overhearing, waved a non-existent hand. Then I wish you a perfect union and a long life together. From behind the fan, I turned my gaze, locking eyes with Chinchinian. He smiled slowly at me, his eyes reminiscent of a clear sky after rain, azure and pristine. The sight stirred something within me. The end of the text. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in the next story.